is the realest show out.
You did the opposite of what I think most people do. Sometimes it can be kind of scary to just put yourself out there.
That's real. That's raw. That's exactly what we're looking for.
We look forward to connecting with you guys on all of our social media platforms. The way to support us is to like and comment on all your favorite episodes. And please don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications for the next Gut Check Uncut. What's up, guys? Todd Special in the house. We got Gut Check Uncut with Mr. Beavis.
Yep.
Dude, this next guest, I got to tell you, voice of an angel, but he's also he's a sexy son of a bitch too. If I was batting for the other team,
dude,
I'd be following him a lot more than I am right now.
It's funny.
Anyways.
I was just actually thinking about him and his body, which is weird. But
Jesus,
dude,
should we cut that out?
I feel like all the guests we have on here are jacked.
They're all jacked.
They're all
except for you. And you're that's it. So let's get into this guy real quick. This guy is a heavy metal singer and songwriter known as the former lead vocalist of Bad Wolves, Snot, Divine Heresy, and Westfield. He's recently gone solo. He was the lead singer for Bad Wolves in May of 2018 when they topped the charts releasing a cover of the Cranberries single Zombie, which had over 400 million views. Should I say it again? 400 million views. It's crazy on YouTube, and one of the most viewed videos on the internet to date. The song also stayed strong at the top of the Billboard mainstream rock charts for weeks globally. He's from Brooklyn, New York, and known as one of the most prolific and provocative men in rock music, and he's just getting started. He's the co-host of Deviant Gentleman podcast. And when Tommy isn't touring, he's working out. Recently added to First Form by Andy Frisella's company. He's sponsoring and coaching within the sober community and supporting the brave men and women of both the military and police force. He's done a ton of volunteer work and lives by this quote: "The act of helping someone who has less than you makes you realize you have something to give, and it changes you." I mean, this guy's awesome. I tell you, I'm so excited that he even said yes. I want to go right into this. Guys, it's Tommy Vext. If you don't know who this guy is, you're definitely just like not in the world today. He's just powerful, man. I can't wait to have him on.
Dude, he's a badass. When I was like a young cat, so to speak, if they say that still, like at like 2 a.m, hammered drunk or whatever. Sorry, Mom. JM and I would listen to that Zombie Cranberry song. And so
his cover or just a Zombie Cranberry song?
When I played it today for JM, he's like, "Holy shit, you're having him on?"
Dude,
sick.
It's an honor to have him on, but the guy does a lot of good. You know
we
what I mean?
may look different, but we have the same voice. So
I try it again.
Zombie.
Definitely not the same voice. Do not stick to your fucking day job.
I'm gonna do it for him.
Dude, let's get into Mr. Tommy Vext.
Let's go.
What's up?
Dude, first and foremost, man, thank you for being on, dude. Like, I mean, I've been obviously following you. I've been a fan for a while, dude. I mean, I actually agree with all your political views. I love watching your shit. I love, like, you've done shit that most people can only dream of, but it always hasn't been sunshine and rainbows for you, which is the reason why your story is so fucking cool, dude. So if anybody doesn't know you, obviously they're fucking hiding someplace, but can you tell us a little bit about Tommy Vext, man? And like a little bit more about you. This show's raw. We just want the real dude like you always are.
Yeah. I mean, so most people probably know me from the Zombie cover that came out as Bad Wolves. But I've had a pretty long career. I started doing music in 96 when I was a kid. So I was in a band before I was even in high school. And so I had a band called Vext, and that's how I got my last name. And then in my early 20s, I moved to LA. I got signed to Roadrunner and Century Media with a band called Divine Heresy, which was featuring Tim from Morbid Angel on drums, Dino from Fear Factory on guitar, and the late Joe Payne on bass from the band Nile. And then we put out a record called Bleed the Fifth, and it kind of blew up, but me and the guitar player didn't get along, and I was pretty deep in my alcoholism. We had a very public fist fight twice. I whooped his ass twice. And then I guess I got ousted from the band for whooping his ass. He tried to fight me, and that was a mistake. And then he talked shit about me in the press. So then when I saw him a second time around, I just lit him up backstage at a Disturbed Slipknot concert in the VIP. And then fast forward, then I sang for a band called Snot. which is like a punk metal band that came out in the late 90s. I was a huge fan of, used to go see them live. And the singer Lynn Strait, he had passed away in 1998, I believe. And I sang their 10-year anniversary tour as a tribute to Lynn. And then I later did a few more tours with them later on. And then I did a project called Westfield Massacre, where I brought Tim back from Divine Heresy and Chris from Darkest Hour and Bill Hudson from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And we did a record together. And then it got signed to an indie label, and those guys all live all over the place and couldn't tour. So I put a bunch of guys together and then toured with that. And then simultaneously, I was doing a studio side project with John from Devil Driver called Eye of Tongues. So he had this idea in this project, and it was just fun. And I hated the band name, and I started bringing songs to the table, and I started rewriting all the music, and I was like, we need to change this. And I had the name Bad Wolves, like tinkering around, and I kind of had to convince him to change the name. And then, like I have a huge wolf on my back, like a back piece tattoo. And so that's kind of been like my totem animal. That's like my vibe. And I got them to change the name. And then I got a gig taking care of Ivan from Five Finger Death Punch, because I was a sobriety coach. So I took time off from my music career. I got sober. I've been sober 12 years. Awesome. I became a counselor. I've worked with a handful of A-list celebrities and, business moguls and stuff, helping them stay sober in their first 30 to 60 days of recovery. Ivan couldn't really keep it together. He had to do inpatient treatment in the middle of a tour. So the band asked if I would sing their tour. And then I kind of got famous overnight. And then I had recorded. So I got a record deal and then signed Bad Wolves to Better Noise. And there were some songs that I had done for a different project that wound up going on the Bad Wolves record and Zombie was one of them, which was actually recorded by Philip Nasland and Max Karen. And then obviously Dolores was supposed to sing on the song. She passed away the night before she was scheduled to go into the studio, and we released the song. I donated all of the proceeds to her children, and the rest was history. And then that song kind of just turned into this, it was just massive. The original the reason why Dolores got the track is because I didn't want to put it on the record without her approval. And I knew that she had relationships with people at our label because they used to manage her when she was in the Cranberries. And so the fact that she approved of the song was everything, and then wanted to sing on it was another. And then the fact that it never got to happen, we took the opportunity to try to do something nice for her family. And 400 million streams later, yeah. I can't go to a gas station or a grocery store without somebody going, hey, you're the zombie guy, So yeah. It's cool. It's weird. It's like it's a cool thing. And we followed it up. Like, I went in the studio and wrote some more songs, and I released 5 consecutive number 1 hits. 5 out of 6. The 6th song broke top 10. Yeah. And then we're gonna get to 2020, because that's a whole other bag of fucking worms. Yeah. That's the backstory.
Yeah, dude.
That's crazy.
Like I'm not bullshitting you. Like, I don't blow smoke up anybody's ass. We're pretty straightforward on the show, but it's like, it gives me the chills listening to you, because I can hear obviously the emotion in your voice when you're talking about it and how everything happened. That's what this show's about, man. Just bringing out the real in people. And one thing that, I can tell you that I'm, truly grateful for is hearing a story like that, how you're into, your addictions, and you came out and helping people. You've done a fuck ton of volunteer work, man, and you love helping people. I watched your video on YouTube, First Form, and I got to tell you, man, like, when you start watching a fucking 45-minute video, you're like, oh shit, it's 45 minutes, wishing it was 12. I'm not bullshitting you, dude. I told Brandon, I immediately when I watched it and told him, I was like, dude, you will not want to stop watching that video because you could just see the raw authenticity in your story and everything that happened in your life, which led me to do more research. And then I was like, man, this is just a fucking cool dude. You know, you hear of a heavy metal singer and he's rocking there. All these personas are out there. When did this shift happen? Like, I mean, I know you've gone through a lot of stuff, which I'll let you talk about, but it's like you shifted your life from addiction in a bad portion of your life to being addicted to actually helping people and giving a fuck about someone's sobriety and helping people scale. I know you're active in helping the military and the police forces and all that stuff too. You're just a fucking good dude. But when did that shift happen for you, Tommy? I mean, because I know it had to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think about 13 years ago, I was in a toxic addict relationship with a woman who I was in love with, and she was a drug addict. I was a drug addict and an alcoholic, and she got pregnant, and then we tried to I quit drinking because I thought that's, I was like, oh, I got to be a dad now, and this, that, the other, and then eventually, I was touring, and eventually she had a miscarriage, a late-term miscarriage that wound up being the result of a relapse. And it was very traumatic. The relationship did not survive. I mean, after that point, things had gotten, physical, and it was just like, this is over. And I think that, I talk about this, my perspective of that time was, I was like, oh, this is like the most tragic thing of my life. And now I can, I use it as an excuse to drink and do drugs the way I wanted to. Cause I was too afraid to commit suicide. I was too much of a pussy to just kill myself. And I didn't have enough courage to live. Right. And so I was just kind of on autopilot. And eventually, I became homeless and I OD'd. And I kind of got a wake up call, and I asked a friend if I could stay with him, and he took me to a meeting, and I wound up living with him for the first 4 months of my sobriety, and riding on bicycles to go to meetings and to get sober. And I got in with a community of guys that walked the walk and had these amazing stories, and it changed my life. 12-step programs really. For me, I had countless vain attempts to try to control my alcoholism. And I ignored a lot of things in my genetic past. I've been more open now talking about that. I was a crack baby. My mother abandoned me and my twin brother in the hospital. She was a junkie. That wasn't expressed to me by my adopted parents till I was already an adult. So I started drinking and using at 13 or 14. And obviously, immediately I was not the same as my friends, and it just kind of carried through. And yeah, I got involved in hanging out with the wrong crowds, and me and my brother got in trouble, and we were drug dealers, just doing bullshit. And then I almost got killed by a gang when I was 19 or 20. And I was like, I had enough. It scared me straight. And so I kind of thought if I could be the posters on my wall, then I would be okay. And so I chased my dreams and I got different jobs working as venue security and networking with other musicians and getting backstage to meet the artists, even though I was at work, and asking people what they did. And, I got an opportunity to move to California and do that band. And that was, the thing I think about, we call them geographics in recovery, because wherever you go, there you are. And I took my disease with me. And it was just a matter of time before, as much as good things were happening and bad things were happening, it was just a matter of time before, the reality came that it was you're either going to get sober or you're going to die. And it's, I just chose to live, I guess, one day at a time.
I could think of a hell of a lot of environments that would be easier to stay sober than the environment that you work in, living a fucking rock star life and playing music and having all the party scene around you. How the hell have you gone 12 years staying sober in that environment of all places? Literally
was thinking the same shit. It just makes you a superhero, bro.
First and foremost, I have a relationship with God. And, that's not like a popular, trendy, cool thing to talk about, but like I have a limited source of power. And it's just like a smartphone, right? I can do anything for a limited amount of time, and then I'm out of battery and I have to reconnect to the source. So, whenever, a lot of people say like, oh, God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. But I think it's God doesn't give you anything God can't handle. And so, surrendering, there are always going to be situations. There's going to be betrayals, and there's going to be, I was murdered in sobriety. That's what the song Remember When is about. And I stayed sober through that. But it's like, did I stay sober, or did God see fit that I stayed sober? There were so many there's been so many intervening moments in my life. I have to be here for a reason. It can't all just be like an accident. And I think that when you're sober, it becomes clear. And I don't think anyone is here on accident. I don't think you guys are here on accident. I don't think that it's things that we perceive as chaos are because we don't understand the divine calculation of reality. And it's much bigger than us. And it would be like trying to read a book to a puppy. The dog is not going to understand. You could communicate it, but it can't comprehend. And so, I have a lot of peace in that. When I like choose to practice being connected to the source of things. And so, I think it's pretty evident that, I look at all the religions and all the spiritualities and all the belief systems, and spending time with old people and children. And you realize like inherently inside all of us, we kind of know there's something else, I think when we're in our egos, as we develop, through our teens and into our midlife, there's this like, the end is too far away to realize, and the beginning is too far behind us to remember. And so we kind of get lost in like our self-will and trying to figure out who we are in society and go after these and things, and establish ourselves and grow. And it's part of the human experience. But, I've had a near-death experience. I was literally told that I wasn't finished and I was sent back here, after I'd flatlined. So, there's a lot of evidence not to give up. And I'm also an attempted suicide survivor, even in sobriety, And so it's never like one solution where, you're never cured. Life is about rinse and repeat, just one day at a time. I got to a real low point, after I testified against my twin brother, so there's a song called Remember When on the Disobey record. And it's really like a confession of I wanted to be like my twin brother. My brother was tougher than me, and he was stronger than me, and he was cooler than me. But he was also dangerous, and he struggled severely with mental illness. He used hard drugs to kind of deal with his issues. And like, as a result, it took him down a road that caused him to assault me with a crowbar during, while he was invading my apartment. And, he went to jail for it, and it was one of the hardest things to do, because I grew up in an environment in Brooklyn where it's like, you don't rat, and so it would have been more acceptable if I would have took the law into my own hands. But I found out through the detectives who were working the case, they had brought me stacks of papers while I was living in California, my brother was beating my mom, and she never pressed charges, like a true Al-Anon, and that's another thing. Like, I think the song Sober, we talk about, in the second Bad Wolves record, Nation, it's about the family disease of alcoholism. Because for every one addict and alcoholic, there's all the lives that touch the sufferer, and there's some people, I know a lot of people in recovery, and they're like, I earned my seat, they've been around for a while. I'm like, how much did your mom earn your seat? Oh, your wife. or your kids or your employers. They're the ones who fucking paid the price while you were out there getting fucked up, you know? And so, you know, the process of having to testify against my brother and like have him taken away and put in jail for 20 years, it caused me to want to commit suicide because I felt like I betrayed everything I was raised to believe, but everything I was raised to believe wasn't really right. And, you know, my suicide was, you know, I talked about this on Andy Frisella's podcast. Like my suicide was interrupted by a kid calling me asking to get sober, like some heroin addict kid who had just OD'd, and he was like left for dead in an alleyway, and I was about to jump in front of a train, and I answered the fucking call, you know, and now that guy is like my little brother, like he's like a big part of my life. You know, I met him, I sponsored him, he stayed sober. It's been, I think he's coming up on 8. He just turned 8 years. Like, it's like, that was 8 years ago. And I think about stuff like how we were talking about being here for a reason and God intervening. It's like, if all the things that happened after the 8 years, like everything I just said about, you know, putting out this song and donating. I mean, dude, that family's got millions of dollars. I had the biggest hit song of my life. It could have changed my entire financial life. And inside, the voice inside is like, just give the family the money, right? Which to the music industry, those people think I'm insane. You know, of course they think I'm insane. Of course. They're like, who would ever do something like this? You know? So all that stuff never would have happened, you know? And so when I work with people, I tell them, I'm like, yo, if you killed yourself now, you'd be killing the wrong guy. Mm-hmm. You don't even know who you're going to get to become if you don't stick around. And like these principles and the way that I am and the life that I've experienced often get me into predicaments where normal people can be controlled by fear. And so we'll fast forward to 2020. In 2020, you know, COVID happened. And, you know, like everybody else, I had just come home from a European tour. I got sick in Italy, in Milan, February 6th, 17th, 2020. The whole tour got sick. Everybody was fucked up. I'm pretty sure everyone got COVID then. But everybody always gets sick on tour. This is how it goes. You're traveling all over the world. You're on planes and fucking buses, and you're doing meet and greets and shaking weird people's hands. And, you know, you're just a petri dish. You know what I mean? Like, and I came home and I was fine. You know, I had seen a doctor at the last show in Hungary, and I got, they gave me prednisone, which is an asthmatic steroid, and I was fine. And my drummer at the time, he came home and he got hospitalized with pneumonia. So I'm pretty sure that we got it, you know? Yeah. And then I wasn't really too worried about it. And I have a few friends. I have a friend who is an epidemiologist, and I have a friend who's a virologist, right? And so I don't watch the news. Like, I ask contacts. I have, you know, I'm a big supporter of the military and law enforcement. I have doctors who are fans of the band, and I communicate with people. So basically about a month in, I was like, this lockdown thing is not, they're going to keep this going, you know? And so I started, you know, I did interviews because nobody knew what to do. And the label's like, oh, we'll just do a bunch of press. And people asked me questions. And I was like, well, I don't know. I think this is like this and that is like that. And then it was very like, everyone was like, oh my God, Tommy Vext, so controversial. He's saying things that are not on the script. Yeah. You know, and then I saw the George Floyd thing, and like everybody else watching that happen, I was horrified. But I also understand, you know, I have family that are in law enforcement. I know how hard that job is. I know that these situations, you need to investigate and play out exactly what's going on, because I think there are things like with Trayvon Martin or Eric Garner where that's bad law enforcement. Philando Castile, that's bad law enforcement. Those are mistakes that shouldn't have been made. And then in the case of like Breonna Taylor, I'm like, you're a drug dealer and you're in a house and you fire at law enforcement. I don't feel bad. Like, this is common sense at this point, right? These situations are not the same. And I think after all the footage came out with George Floyd and the fact that, you know, he in fact did die of a drug overdose. And as someone who works as a drug and alcohol counselor, and I've worked as a bouncer, I've had people OD in my arms on fentanyl at a club. And it's a very serious drug. And I don't think that the police officers that apprehended him did the best possible job they could have done, but there was no way that they killed this man because of the color of his skin. And the result of how that was used, right? They used George Floyd's death to cover up Joe Biden saying the most racist shit I've ever heard, which was, you know, 2 days before, Joe Biden went on Charlemagne the God show, which is one of the biggest hip hop shows in the world, and said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, right? And that's the typical liberal shit that we experience as African Americans. Is the Democrats basically think they own us, and they try to create a culture where they decide for us what we're supposed to think, what we're supposed to do, this, that, the other thing. And they have exposed themselves with their subversive racism. I think they don't know that they're racist, right? So when these political people are like, we can't have voter registration laws because minorities don't know where the DMV is. I'm like, what? I mean, it's just disrespectful.
Yeah.
Right? Or we don't know how to use computers. Like, what the fuck are you talking? That's insane. And so the liberal privilege is that you're allowed to be a racist piece of shit, right? And nobody comes after you for it, and it doesn't get exposed because they own the media, you know? And so Joe Biden says this shit, and then they're fucking scrambling because they're desperate to get rid of Trump. So they fucking take this situation with George Floyd, blow it out of proportion before we know what's going on. Before there's a verdict, you know, like the Rodney King riots happened after the verdict. They didn't even wait. They just completely took complete opportunity to cause a bunch of drama, and they destroyed businesses and they burned fires. And the other thing too is, like, you know, in Minneapolis, 17 women got raped during the George Floyd riots. That's just Minneapolis. But
yeah, the media controls all that shit, dude.
How is this a solution to the problems in the black community? This is animalistic behavior. And like, yo, I say whatever the fuck I want. And I'm also somebody who, like, dude, LA got destroyed by the riots. And guess what? The next morning, I bought probably $1,000 worth of brooms and garbage bags. And I went with all the bodybuilders from Gold's Gym, and we went and cleaned up the mess ourselves. And there were thousands and thousands of people of every color and every race and every religion cleaning up the mess. But the news doesn't show that. That's what true America is. It's the helpers. It's the people who are like, all right, you guys are going to fucking destroy all this. But what America really is the cleanup crew. We're going to fix this shit, you know, and they don't show that. And so I was very outspoken about this. I was pissed. And I was also pissed off because I know I investigated BLM, and I know that they're owned by Act Blue. And I know Act Blue is a Democratic all-white panel of millionaires who own the Black Lives Matter Corporation. And all of the donations went to Joe Biden's campaign.
It's ridiculous, dude.
So they exploited this man's death to fucking further their agenda, and then also create this air that Republicans are white supremacists. Like, I'm so tired of this shit. Like, I'm so fucking tired of this race baiting nonsense, right? I've been playing music for 20 years. I've sold millions of records to mostly white people who don't have a problem with the color of my skin. Just like Lil Wayne, just like Kanye West, just like Lil Nas X, just like Tupac, just like Biggie. I'm like, where the fuck is the racism? Where is it? Right? There's probably like 300 white supremacists living somewhere in the middle of nowhere under the unemployment line. There's no army of white people who hate minorities. Like, where the fuck are they? You know, you got a bunch of fucking stupid college kids with tiki torches who don't want a statue. And then like the drama that ensues from that. It's all, you know, stuff like that doesn't deserve attention. It's laughable, you know?
It's what the fucking media does. It's what
and that's another reason why the cancellation started. Because I say the truth. People are like, I can't believe this. Oh, how could this guy say this? And it's all white liberals trolling me in the media. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, you don't know what it's like to be black in America because you're white. And you're out here telling everybody that you know. You don't fucking know what the fuck you're talking about. You just went to college and you had a professor who was paid to indoctrinate you with a socialist bullshit. And that's the problem, is that this fucking ideology of socialism is exploiting the most beautiful thing about America. The most beautiful thing about this country is that we're a safe place for the rest of the world for people to come here legally and become citizens and not have a glass ceiling of communism over their head where you can become whatever you want. I'm a crack baby who grew up to become a sober man who sold millions of records to people. And now I do inspirational speeches and write books and fucking people. I can't even believe people listen to what I say. I'm just a dude, you know, but only in America. You go to China, fuck you. You go to Russia, fuck you. You're in Brazil, fuck you. Yeah. You can't, fuck, dude, go to Cuba. They're having a fucking revolution right now.
Yeah.
And it's a small, they're having what's going on in Cuba and Haiti and South Africa. It's a microcosm of what's going to happen on a global scale, because the corporations are trying to fucking collude together to create a communist dictatorship on a global level. And that a year ago, I was saying this and it's like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. But now I'm just a conspiracy realist because I'm ahead of everybody. I'm like, this is what's going to happen. Then they're going to do this. Then they're going to do that. Then they're going to do this. How do you know? Because I talk to people. I don't give up my sources. And I also know how to calculate something. I understand a rollout. I know when a movie comes out because I've been with actors. I've taken care of sober actors. I know the plan. I know when an album comes out, there's a rollout. Every time there's some promotional rollout, COVID was a promotional rollout. So it was like phase one was like, okay, there's going to be a menial virus, right? And it's going to come out and it's going to kill elderly people and morbidly obese people and people who are already sick. Cool, fuck them, get rid of them. The government's forget about the money that was made. They saved billions and billions of dollars not paying Social Security by letting elderly people die on ventilators. And that's how I look at it. You know, Cuomo put fucking sick people in elderly homes and infected the whole fucking elderly home with people who were vulnerable to it. And then they want to give us a fucking vaccine and it's free. It doesn't make any sense. Like, this is like my thing with the vaccine is, first of all, like, we don't know what's in it and we don't know the long-term effects. Secondly, why is it free? The fuck is it free for? If you have AIDS or HIV, dude, your medication is like $4,000 a month to not die of AIDS. If you have diabetes, insulin in the state of California is $1,000 a month for insulin. If you have Hep C and you want to and now there's a cure for hepatitis C, it's $30,000. So why is it, they have the fucking magic cure? Why is it free? What the fuck are they putting in people? Right. And that's me. I'm just like, I just don't trust the government because I fucking, you know, I studied social studies. You know, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't trust the government because governments do corrupt shit. Our country, our forefathers built this nation because of other corrupt governments.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know one fucking iota about politics even close to you, because I'm the same. Like, when I don't watch the fucking news, because you change one channel, goes to, I've never watched the news. Like, when I go home, I look at my wife and she's like, "Do you know this happened?" I don't have a fucking clue. I don't even really get on social media other than to post some motivational stuff and stuff about our podcast, whatever. And there's only very few people that I actually pay attention to, right? That I know have, strong-minded people that I actually give a fuck about. But I'm watching news and I go to fucking Fox, then you go to CNN, then you go to fucking, and everything's different. So I'm like, the media, we don't know what the fuck is true. I don't have Tommy Vext sources, so I'm just a fucking pawn, right? Whatever they tell me is what I'm supposed to believe, and whoever's opinion seems more real to me, that's when dude, it's fucking bullshit. They tell us what we want to hear, and they just put it in our lives, and then people make opinions, and then people fucking fight and go back and forth, because we people that don't have those type of sources to speak to, we're guessing. So I don't fucking argue politics when I don't know shit about it. I also don't talk religion, and I don't do it. I mean, my brother was a huge fucking Republican. I'm Republican, my brother. And it's like, he was used to fight people on fucking Facebook and Instagram. They could be going back and forth nonstop. I'm like, dude, here's the deal. I had a 2-year probationary scholarship to go to Baylor University to go pre-law. My life got fucked up. That happened. We're here to talk about Tommy Vext, not Todd Special. But I go into this thing, I'm fucking arguing with people. You tell me one side, I can look up something and show you a fact. And then I could go on the other side and find a fact that says the completely different fucking other thing. We don't know. Google ain't going to tell you the truth. So I agree with
so what people, there's an overall, the bigger issue is that there is a corporate communist collusion to confuse the public. Now, a confused public is an easily divided public. So, what are the fact checkers? You're like, okay, the fact checkers say this is false. Who are the fact checkers? Who owns that? Oh, it's this company that fucking is owned by this political faction, or these people that have, and there are super PACs. And so, between social media, like, it's just so, it's seeing what is happening is basically it's a 20-year plan of completely demoralizing and depatriotizing the youngest generation so that they can completely take over and control them and manipulate them. They're teaching children to hate America. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Because you want to breed an entire national generation of people who will not fight for this country, because what's coming? What is coming? It's crazy. Like, people don't understand, like, World War III started. This is a different phase kind of war. We are not in a regular war. It's called the silent war. On the inside that it's referred to as a silent war. And then that will be written in the history books of how it started. And there are multiple phases to it. So the problem is that this country has more armed citizens, that we have more firearms than any military in the world. So if there was an invasion, it's impossible for an outside nation. So you have to corrupt it from the inside, which is obviously, we see what's going on. It doesn't really matter what political side you're on. It's just who's been corrupted, by foreign interference, and why these massive corporations that are only owned by like 6 or 7 big families are all going along with this. And we're just moving in the direction of abandoning the Constitution. They were trying to rewrite it. I mean, the left liberal radicalist nonsense is fucking, it's just endless. Every day there's just more nonsense, and the news and the media continuously produce more confusion and division, because you won't go and fight. You won't fight and die for this country if you hate your neighbors. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's good. And so, like, that's the way that I look at things. I look at them and I'm like, I can see down the line. I'm kind of a survivalist kind of person. I'm like, all right, if I was going to split up a marriage, what would I do? You're like, hey, your husband's cheating on you. What do you mean? Like, listen, please don't tell anybody, this, but like, I know that he's a scumbag. And then, you make her swear, and then you're like, yo, bro, your wife's cheating on you. And they're like, oh, and they start fighting. Well, this one, that one, but what about this? And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then the dude's fucking the wife, so she can't say what the source is.
Yeah.
And then the husband's telling the friend the fucking, that's basically what the media is doing, you know? And the only thing that they have on top of it is they have completely controlled social media. So they get to censor and manipulate who gets to see what truth. They don't want the truth getting out.
I mean, didn't they and I don't know the facts on this, but didn't they take down some of the shit that you posted? It got like censored or something, or no?
Yeah, I get shit taken down all the time. It's mine stuff's not even that bad. You know, like my issue right now is like the war with the record label. So, you know, just based on all the things that we're talking about, it's caused a lot of problems for people at the label. You know, there was a lot of fucking drama. I got falsely accused of a Me Too thing like twice. It was like the first time, you know, I was dating somebody and they, you know, like it's Hollywood and they were doing shit they weren't supposed to be doing. And they, you know, I'm like legally can't talk too much about this because like, you know, in court, I got in trouble because I exposed this person for their illegal activities, right? So that was considered a form of harassment. And so I was acquitted of all domestic violence by a judge. This woman tried to punish me for breaking up with her. So she told the police I beat her up and tried to get me arrested, and literally copied and pasted in her report an assault charge that her brother had gotten arrested for beating his wife.
No shit.
And so I like, because I was helping her brother deal with his anger issues, I called, this was in a different state. So I called in I found his whole paperwork of his arrest and then brought it to court. And I was like, she literally just copied and pasted this. And it was just all this stuff. Like, oh, like she said, I beat her and tried to kill her. And on this day, and then the next day she flew with me to Europe on a all expenses paid vacation and 5-star hotels, and nobody else was around. And we were alone for 5 days before a tour even started. You know, it was like those things. And it was like, oh, he was paying your bills and paying your car payments. And, you know, so it was a shakedown.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like I was repeatedly asked, oh, well, if you give me $100,000, I'll just drop it. And I was like, no, no. And, you know, and just like, it just wound up being this fucking ridiculous thing. So I think that the label saw an opportunity to kind of use that as like a reason. Plus I supported Trump publicly. So that's like the forbidden no. Mm-hmm. And so shit just got fucking dicey. And I was told that I was canceled at radio stations and on Spotify and Apple Music and this, that, the other. And so the way that it was framed up was the CEO of the label said, listen, your political stance has caused so much damage to the band that they can't get played on the radio. So if you step down, we'll give you all of your recordings and you can go to another label and start your solo career. And I write pretty much all the Bad Wolves stuff that is relevant, you know, and no one in Bad Wolves plays on the Bad Wolves records but me and the drummer. So the guys in the band have never written a song or contributed anything. They're just hired guns, and it's more like 9 Inch Nails. So there's a secret guitar player. His name's Max Karen. And me and Max will write, or me and the drummer and Max will write. And then we go in the studio and I work with different producers. Like for the most part, I'd show up with fully finished songs for everyone to learn, you know, because the guys in the band they're just players. They're really good musicians. They're just not songwriters, you know? And so, you know, there was like I'm like, this delusion that I caused all this problems. And so the band, my partner locked me out of all the social media. they made an announcement I was out of the band without us having like a proper meeting or any kind of settlement or salvation, or what's the word? Dissolution of the company. And I just chilled out for a few days. The press ran, they fucking talked all this shit about me, and I made a statement, and I started a GoFundMe as directed by the label and management company, who was owned by the same person. And I think that like it made $180,000.
So
and then the label got mad. And then they said, we're not giving you your records. Fuck you. Just get out. And I'm like,
wow.
You're not going to fucking keep my records, And I was like, well, I'm not leaving. And they're like, no, you have to. I was like, first of all, you're the record label. This is my company. So if I have a legal issue with my partner, we can go to court and figure that out, but you have nothing to do with it. So if you want me to leave, you have to pay me. If you want the name of the band, I own it. Me and another guy own everything 50-50. So that began a long process of auditing. So I hired a legal team and a PR team. Turns out that the record label, allegedly, based on multiple, over 8 witness testimonies from program directors, all confessed that the label forced them to stop playing the band, which is considered a violation of our record contract and tortious interference. And again, I say this allegedly because we're moving forward with a lawsuit, up to $20 million lawsuit against the label. And then there was an audit of the company. And so there was tens of thousands of dollars missing, unaccounted for during COVID, for charges that are unexplainable.
I mean,
And
how do you deal with that shit,
basically there's been, allegedly credit card fraud, which is not me. I actually I have multiple businesses, so I don't even keep a company card for the company. So it's not possible that I could have made those charges. It's impossible. And so after the audit, it was concluded that there was fraud. And if gone to court, there could be if the court rules in my favor, then it's highly likely there would be federal charges brought up by the state, and that my partner could potentially go to jail for a federal crime. So we're in a position now where there's, I basically wanted to just leave, and they held on to me for 6-7 months. And I finally got a serious lawyer, and, I've put my entire life savings on retainer to go into what I think could be a 2 to 3, it could be about 2 years of litigation. And it's mostly because this can't be, right? We can't have this anymore. I think the leftists in Hollywood I think they're misguided, and I think they're drunk with power. And, just because you don't like a political candidate, it doesn't mean that I fuck my life. Like, the fuck are you talking about? And they can say, and then, they're going to try to bring up everything I've ever done or every mistake and highlight that. And like, I'm not new, you know what I mean? Like, I used to be a drug addict. I used to be a drug dealer. Like, I was in a gang. Like, I've experienced violence, and, I'm completely prepared for all this stuff. And it's hilarious. It's hilarious how, the record label exploits all my accomplishments and all my achievements that have nothing to do with them in order to try to sell more tickets and more records, which they're ripping us off 24/7. I've made more money in 6 shows in Texas this year than I would in 15 weeks of touring with Bad Wolves, because there was so much shit going on with weird shit with the money. And now I have complete control and complete and total access. And it's just like, it's a very sobering reality of a deal is it's like you signed a deal with the devil. It's like, yeah, it is. They own you, and it's modern day slavery, and so when there are so many musicians who they can't follow me on social media, but they text me, they call me. They're all conservative. They're just so afraid because the mega CEO lunatics, you know, and again, like, these guys are just egomaniacs. I don't think that they have any idea what's going on the ground level, because they're living in their silver ivory towers looking down on the fucking rest of us pieces of shit. You know what I mean? And, you know, you have somebody who all they do is make money all day, and then they read the headlines on the news, and a 70 or 80-year-old white guy who's a billionaire or worth hundreds of millions of dollars, they still think the news is real.
Yeah.
You know, like my mom's generation, my mom's like, wait, the news isn't real? And I'm like, okay, Mom, like, all right, well, I have to explain this to you. Like, this is who owns the media, and it's these families, and they own this, and it's all like this. And like, this company is this company. They just make it so there's a bunch of names, so you have the illusion of choice, but they all own everything, you know? And it's like sitting down, and like, my mom will listen to that, but some CEO's like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, oh, I'm rich, you know? So I think part of it is like, the part of it is that the phase of confusing the public, that it's effective. It's effective, and it's effective in the entertainment industry, because people don't have time to investigate this stuff. And they want, you know, where's my latte? Where's my latte? Like, oh, Trump bad, Orange Man bad. Okay, cool. We're going to go against that. He's bad. This is good. Da, da, da. And then now, after the election, people are like, wait, what did we do? Mm-hmm. You know, mm-hmm. I've gotten like, you know, and I still have people I employ who are liberal. They've apologized to me. They're like, I'm sorry. I said you were crazy. I said you were an asshole. You were right.
Yeah. It's like crazy, man. You know, you hear about all the politics out there, and you know, I'm in a total agreement with you. We just don't know. You said something like there are all these, you know, rich people are looking down on all of us pieces of shit. I mean, that honestly, that's how I feel. You know what I mean? Like I hear all these political views. Like, who the fuck am I? I'm nobody. Dude, I think it's fucking awesome that you're putting your voice out there. I mean, you risked your career, you know, the people you were working with.
Yeah, it says a lot.
It just says a lot about who you are, because you didn't have to fucking do that. You could have been like every other fucking person, kept your mouth shut because they're scared about, you know, losing something. But you're solo now. Your music is, and I'll be honest with you, Tom, it'd be brutally honest, I hadn't listened to a bunch of it until I kind of like found out who you are. It's some fucking powerful stuff. I've listened to Remember When. I listened to the words. Your lyrics are fucking like, they're really strong, and they're personal. You know what I mean? So I want to compliment you on that. But the coolest thing about you to me is that you're just standing up. You're not fucking afraid. You're helping people that are trying to get sober. You want to impact lives. When I listened to the video with our first form Andy Frisella interview, just the passion and listening to you, how you actually give a fuck about people, just makes me want to listen more when you speak, because there's so many fucking people that are full of shit. That's what the Gut Check was really made to be for. You know, I'm in the speaking industry, and, you know, and the people are, oh, I can make you a millionaire and I can do all this shit, and they're fucking blatantly lying to people. This show was originally created to call those fucking people out. I wasn't as strong as you, because I decided, I was like, dude, I went to attorney. I don't have fucking Tommy Vext money by any means. I go to a fucking attorney and I'm going, dude, he's like, dude, they're going to fucking sue you for slander, defamation of character, also the book. I want to call these fucking people out that are robbing people. And then we just decided, fuck it. Let's get guys like Tommy on, people that actually give a fuck, you know, and flip the script to really just, you know, let's inject some good into people from people that really give a fuck, dude. And that's what you do every single day, man.
I mean, I think that a lot of those like get rich quick scams, and there's so many scammers, bro. There's, you know what I mean? There's the internet, the age of the influencer is like, it's got to come to an end, because right now what we're like, 2020 was the Great Awakening. It was like a publisher's clearinghouse of trash. And the reality is that we don't need any more influencers. We need leaders. An influencer is like, I do this and you should buy that and blah, blah. And I'm like, a leader is like, I will die on this hill. I will lose and sacrifice 30 years of fucking dedication and work because I believe this. And I believe this for all of humanity. and I'm willing to die for it. You know, and I didn't, that's just who I am. You know what I mean? I don't like seeing people abused. I don't like seeing people bullied. I don't like wherever there is, you know, unfairness, you'll see me and I'll be running my mouth because I can't stand the hypocrisy. It just, for some reason, it doesn't sit well with me. And, you know, unfortunately, being a mouthpiece means you invite, you know, hate and people into your life that they're not really in your life. They just like, you're not on board with the fucking agenda and you need to be destroyed. And, you know, it just is what it is. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, one of the funniest things is like, I had this fucking CEO and he's like, you know, threatening me. And he's like, you've never been sued. And I'm like, dude, you've never been murdered. You're talking to the wrong guy. You know what I mean? Like, if I had known, like, that's the thing. I don't worship anything. Like, I don't care. If I don't have, you know, dude, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I literally have taken all of my money is all gone to attorneys. And it, like, so I'm going to be fine. I'm like, all right, cool. This is just going to be like early sobriety when I rode the bus. But so I'm going to take these hundreds of thousands of dollars and now it's gone. And I'm like, here you go with a trusted attorney who has a history of getting justice for people who have been wrongfully done. I'm like, do what you got to do. And I'm like, I trust in God. I do the next right thing. And then if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, I'll accept that too. But we can't not fight. We can't allow this censorship and the bullying and the fucking cancel culture. Like, cancel culture is a form of civil crucifixion. These people are feeble and weak physically and mentally and emotionally. They're not capable of drawing a sword or a firearm against me. They're too frail, and their emotional issues are a result of their frailness. So what can they do? They're like, I'm going to passive aggressively write stuff about him, or I'm going to fucking report his picture, or fucking whatever. They're going to, you know, this, that, the next thing. And, you know, there's a lot of men who have toxic femininity. We don't talk about that, right? A lot of these beta dudes they're sick. They're toxic. They don't know how to be a man. They don't know what it's like to show up. They want to live in this new age of no responsibility and no accountability. And they behave like sick women. They behave like the sick mothers that raised them, in resentment and, you know, just like, they can't strike you down. So they'll, you know, they're like, you know, and you're like, yo, dude, like, you know, if we were in a bar, this wouldn't go this way. Like, you wouldn't say these things, you know. And more often than not, I've run into people who talk shit to me on the internet, and they're like, "Oh, could I get a picture?" I'm like, "Nah, you want a picture?"
Yeah,
because it gives everybody like a false sense of self-esteem to shit on somebody else. And I'm like, why are we not building people up? Yeah. Why are we not encouraging people? Why are we not reminding people? Like, those are the kinds of people. I don't hate them. I don't feel bad for them. I look at them and I'm like, you have to wake up. You are not living your true potential. You are not understanding that your comforts are delusions for your conscience. You know you're not living to your true potential. You know that you're not doing the best that you can. And because you have dissolved your ambition for comfort, right? Because this is the most spoiled generation. Spoiled as fuck. Right?
Yeah, dude.
So you hate other people that work hard because our success is a reflection of your own inadequacy. Well, guess what? I was inadequate too. The only way to get in there, it's like going to the gym, but it's like mental and spiritually, you know, and financially too. Dude, I was poor most of my life. You know, changing your financial life is a decision. It's about self-love, and money is a tool. It doesn't make how much money someone has does not. Obviously, there are people with billions of dollars who are utterly the scum of society. they have the same moral compass as pedophiles and rapists when it comes to taking advantage of people and victimizing other human beings. They have no moral compass. They have no dignity. It's a power game. And they might not sexually be predators, but they're power predators. They want to rape your mind. They want to rape your spirit. They want to know that they're above you because they feel so small inside, you know? And so that's why amassing all this wealth and all this shit, that's not the solution. You know, living comfortably and creating security for yourself and your family and your loved ones, to me, that's my goal. That was always my goal, right? Like, can I pay? I want to pay my mom's bills because we were poor forever, right? So, okay, I could do that. Sick, you know?
Yeah. That's
everything else, I don't wear jewelry. I don't even own a home. I lease a shitty, like a fucking Ford Fusion because I live in LA and I don't want to pay fucking $7 a gallon for gas. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't care. Like, all that materialistic shit doesn't mean a fucking thing, you know? And when a little kid, you know, runs up to me and gives me a hug at a show and says, "You're my favorite singer," that's like, I'm like, wow. Or when a guy in a wheelchair, you know, or a military vet, or a woman who was raped and says, you know, your song saved me. Or when I go backstage and there's a dad and his daughter who broke in to the backstage and she just came from the hospital after trying to commit suicide. And I get to spend 45 minutes talking to these people. Dude, that's the wealth of this life. It's not cars and fucking money and all this fucking shit. Everything that is pushed in the mainstream is meant to keep you enslaved. All that shit. And listen, if you're successful and you're driven and you do that and you get all that stuff, I have a lot of friends. Some of them are fucking billionaires. And that's what their gig is. They're like, because inside they had an unfulfilled dream, and it was like to have this stuff because they were poor. My dream was to just matter to other people.
That's cool.
That's it. Because I didn't, when I was born, and this is real deep shit. Like, I'm in touch with with my truth. My truth is my mom didn't want me. And I don't ever want anybody else to feel like that.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy, bro. You know, I sit here and I'm listening, and honestly, dude, you know, I know we want to be respectful of your time, but I got to tell you, man, like, I have a fucking ton of notes here, and it almost sounds like you're, you know, like when you speak, it's lyrics to your song. You know, it's like you writing, because like the fucking shit you're saying here, you know, you just said my dreams just matter to other people, and I have a ton of other quotes. I'm gonna send it to you afterwards, because half the time the shit that I say, I forget what the fuck I say anyways. But there's some really powerful shit you're saying here. It's like the way Tommy Vext is, you know, your persona out there is, you know, the heavy metal guy, political guy, doesn't give a fuck, tattoos all over his body, this or whatever, you're opinionated, whatever. It's just not who you are, man. And I gotta really say this, and I don't want to speak for Brandon, but when I reached out to you, I'll be honest with you, man, I didn't expect you to fucking reply. You know what I mean? Maybe a social media team, maybe whatever. But when you did, and I think I said this to you at our first meeting.
We can't afford a social media team.
Well, just to be clear, Brandon's name, it's Sarah.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
We act like cool.
I'll send an email to my team. It comes to myself.
Yeah. No, but it's fucking cool, dude, because listen, whether you could or you couldn't, you replied. And then when, you know, there were scheduling mix-ups and you're like, fuck it. You're like, dude, take my fucking number, you know? And I was like, the fuck? Like, I was like, you're just fucking real. And I want anybody watching this or listening to this to really just take this shit in, because you don't have to do this. You say it's a choice to be successful. It's also a choice to want to make a difference in someone's life. You know, you're telling me when a kid comes up and hugs you, see someone in a wheelchair, your songs have to matter. I can only imagine what that feeling is like, because that's my goal in life too. Is just, I don't give a fuck if one person listens to this or 400 million like your show. I just want to matter. I want to change people and impact their lives, dude. So I can't thank you enough for taking your time, Tommy. You know, you didn't have to say yes, but but you did. So I don't know, but
yeah, man, I appreciate it. I just love that you're currently and have sacrificed a lot to kind of speak your own truth, whatever that truth is, and it says a lot about you as a person. So I love your fucking songs, and I love you too.
you want to hear? Give him your fucking
zombie. That's my fucking voice, dude.
So really quick, I do have one really major fucking question to ask you. See if you can help me with this. I was thinking, you know how to write songs, and you're fucking amazing at what you do. If you were to give like maybe a 1-sentence lyric, and you could just make one up right now about Brandon's forehead, how would it go?
Get the fuck out of here! The fucking old guy's talking.
Just about his forehead. He's got a fucking massive forehead.
Bro. He loves talking shit.
I'm like, if I would ask everybody, it's Tommy Vext, dude. I was like,
God.
can you give us a little like maybe
it's
something?
It's the same
or like,
size. Can you see it?
I don't know, man. That's tough. Nothing wrong with forehead.
I'm just too tough looking, bro. He's intimidated by me. It's okay.
Yeah, they get on like a fucking thesaurus. Like,
you probably couldn't find something that matches the size.
Like store bed. I don't know.
Well, dude, fuck it, man. I just can't think. I do want to bring something up, and I'm going to do this publicly for people to watch this. Tommy Vext did tell us that we're going to be able to get some backstage passes 100%. When you're in Fort Myers, and I want to come shake your fucking hand, dude, because a huge fan, and dude, I'm even a bigger fan now, dude. Fuck it, I don't like the fame and all that other shit doesn't mean shit to me. Just you as a person, man. It's just fucking cool as shit. I love you, man. I love what you do.
Of course, man, bro. I appreciate it. And like, dude, I'm doing this tour now, and it's like the name Bad Wolves, like, hundreds of millions of views and bajillions of streams, and toured with this and toured with that, and coming out and doing clubs, and I'm like, does anybody care? And some of the shows, I'm like, oh, there's only like 100 pre-sales, and then the shows fucking sell out, and I'm like, holy shit, so it's weird to me because this delusion, this Hollywood, like so many people, like you've divided the fan base, like people fucking hate you, like you're ruining this, and I'm like, no, I'm not. You're like all the people, all of the working class people, the people who fucking that this country is owned by, us. We the people, not the government, not like fucking pedophile Joe says. Like, we the people, we feel this way. We feel defrauded. We feel like we didn't have a free and fair election. We feel like it's the COVID fucking narrative is suspicious. We're the ones being fucking told, not. So I don't give a fuck what anyone in Hollywood says. I don't give a fuck about all these industries. A lot of these people are misguided. And they're like, we're the resistance. That's all I heard last year. I'm like, yeah, we're the resistance. Who are you the resistance of? Okay, academia, the pharmaceutical companies, big tech, the movie industry, the Hollywood elites, the Democratic Party, the CCP. I'm like, I could go down the fucking list. I was like, and who, and who are you against? One orange man. What are we gonna do? Oh my god!
You start your comedy tour while you're doing your music tour. Start your comedy tour too.
Dude, I'd love to fucking just see you on stage just ripping shit right now.
I took, dude, half the show was a comedy show. I talk mad shit.
I love that, dude.
Yeah, so just get ready. Well, if you bring the kids, bring your mom.
I'm not bringing the fucking kids because I'm gonna fucking talk you into having a drink with us after the fucking show. But I'm coming to see you, bro. So dude, again, man, thank you so much, dude. I know your time fucking matters, dude, and it couldn't be more grateful to have you on, dude. We're both huge fans, and you just proved who you are as a person once again, man. So I can't thank you enough.
I appreciate it, man. I can't wait to meet you guys in person and hang out. I'll be drinking a Coca-Cola though, because I'm not trying to throw out my sobriety.
No. Well, you're big enough to carry both of us.
He can only handle one drink anyway, so he'll be asleep. All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, brother. We'll talk soon, man. Thank you, Tommy.
All right, guys.
Dude, so, I mean, that may have been the longest gut check show we've ever done. But I got to tell you, man, if you don't listen to that whole thing, there's something fucking wrong with you. I mean, the guy spits fire, whether you agree with his political views, you don't. I mean, the truth is, the guy has an opinion. He believes in what he believes in. And what I love about Tommy Vext is that he's a for the people type of guy. He said, I want to be the guy that stands up to bullies. I actually wrote it down. He says, wherever there is bullies or people being abused, you're going to see me and I'm going to be there fighting for them. I love it.
I love it, man. I don't care if anyone listening, agrees with his views or not. It really doesn't. What strikes me more than any views, whether I agree with anything or not, is the conviction that he's got and his ability to literally risk everything to kind of speak his mind and speak his truth is pretty admirable.
Well, I mean, dude, he talks about the difference between someone who says, they're a leader and not a leader. It's like a leader's willing to risk fucking everything. Yeah. Tommy Vext risked everything.
There ain't no fucking doubt about it.
There's no fucking doubt about it. And what I love about it, he's talked about all the money he had and he's giving it to attorneys and this and that and stuff he couldn't talk about. He's like, dude, I don't give a fuck. I've been poor. I'll fight my way back up. Yeah. Being rich is a choice. Making money is a choice. I'm not going to change my life and submit to something that I don't believe in. So he's risking fucking everything, dude. To me, one of the most powerful shows we've ever had. I think the guy he's exactly who he says he is. He doesn't try to change who he is for anybody. And again, like you said, whether people believe with his political views or not, he's passionate about what he believes in. I think the world needs more people like that. A lot of people talk a big game and then they literally they're submissive to the world's social media and fucking news. You know what I mean?
He probably gets prejudged a lot because he's like a really good dude, like really, really good, but he's got the fucking tattoos and everything. He probably gets
heavy
prejudged
metal guy
all the time. It's like I get prejudged. I'm like this, skinny white dude, and I'm fucking gangster. I get prejudged all the time. They're like, dude, you don't even have a tattoo. I'm like, dude, I have one. It's up here.
You were a drug dealer? You a drug dealer?
I mean, so to speak.
Yeah. Listen, you guys, again, we won't keep it in much longer because the show is long enough, but I got to tell you something, man. Go listen to the show over and over again. Whatever you take from it, because there's golden nuggets for everybody. Again, whether you believe what his social and political views are or not, I promise you this. You will get massive, massive golden nuggets from this guy because he's just that powerful. I am grateful for Tommy Vext. I don't know about you, but
man.
I loved it, dude.
Love it.
We'll see you guys on the next. Do you want to exit it? We'll exit it with a gut check, Tommy Vext voiceover?
Yeah, give me like an intro, and then I'll exit it out.
And guys, listen, the next gut check, we got B-Bisque in the house.
No, an outro.
Oh, I said that we got
Give me an out, and then I'll end it.
I was just going to say that we got B-Bisque outro.
Don't cut. Fuck it. Let it roll.
Jesus, fuck. Can you just do
Zombie.
I always thought you were going to
Gut check.
There you go. Good. See you guys on the next gut check. If you love this guest as much as we did, please follow them on all their social media platforms. The way to support us is to like and comment on all your favorite episodes. And please don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification for the next Gut Check Uncut.